So below that are the one book I wrote with Dr. Choi, Kinetic Acupuncture, Korean Kinetic Acupuncture. This has our techniques. I offer this as a continuing education class for other acupuncturists to get C units for their licensure. In the middle book is my teacher's book, Dr. Kinetic Choi, which can be found online. And then this is another book I wrote. This is basically my capstone from my doctoral thesis, which was a study on the BST acupuncture technique of Dr. Lee. So these are the muscle relieving techniques, and they are all derived from Paleo, father of trigger point acupuncture in Korea. Remember the date, 1570 to 1647. Okay, so if we turn the page, now we go into another famous doctor from Korea. And his name is Saam. And so that's this book here is Saam, 2 A's. It's an unusual word that people get tripped up on. But Saam is, well, if you read it, I might as well just read what it says here. Master Saam was a monk and one of the great physicians of the Chosun dynasty, 16th century Korea. Sa means dwell, and means rock. So like other high priests, he was a high priest. He didn't let us know his real identity. As a Buddhist monk or priest, he gave up his own name, and he became famous for being Saham. The only thing we know is that he lived in a stone cave and treated many people. After meditating for many years in a cave, Saam opened his mind's eye and saw through to the core of acupuncture's mystery. So, Sarah.
I have to find.
This is the third teacher, Dr. Tae Chung Chu. He was my first teacher in school. This was in my master's degree. Within about 1 year of me starting school, I took his class on this technique, where the first paragraph in his book is that passage I just read to you. Now, what you know about Saam is that he meditated in a cave for 13 years, and through meditation he discovered the mystery of acupuncture. So this is like, I don't know how many books. This book here is the first book that I wrote on his technique, and in it you'll read my story about how I also meditated and I discovered the mystery of acupuncture just like this doctor did, this fellow did about 400 years ago. So I don't want to relate my experience here, we don't have much time, but this is a meditation book, and that's kind of what I wrote about. His technique is, he's famous for meditating. Now, his technique was almost forgotten, but in the 1980s in Korea, it was revived, restudied, and recategorized, and it's in the form that's in my book. I did, and it's called the Korean 4-needle technique. And I'm thinking we may do a meditation today if we got time. So when we do meditation of these Korean, it's called the Korean 4-needle technique. And in acupuncture, we study 12 organs. And each of these 12 organs has their own different 4-needle technique. And of these 4 needles, we accentuate 2. 2 are tonifying points, and 2 are sedating techniques. And it's based on the 5-element relationship here. And I think I should explain this. The theory of the 5 elements in acupuncture is a major, major theory, along with 2 other theories. The theory of Qi. Who's heard of Qi? Have you heard of Qi, Ron? Tai Chi, from me probably. There's Tai Chi and Qigong. These are these meditative meditative exercises that have this word Qi in it. Have you heard of Qi, Robert? No. Okay. So Qi is a major theory of acupuncture. These meditative arts practitioners, they can actually feel it. Now, simply understood, Qi is energy, and it circulates in our body. As acupuncturists, we want to move it, because qi can become deficient, and we can get illness from deficiency of qi, or qi came on the acupuncture points. And some people can feel the qi as they meditate. There's one more thing with qi, is that we say where the mind goes, so goes qi. So we can direct the movement of this energy inside of us with using our mind. And when I say use our mind, we bring our attention to some acupuncture points. So we may do a little meditation at the end, where I'll have you bring your attention to an acupuncture point. And it brings you out of your head while you're still in your body. So that's the theory of qi. And then the other theory is yin and yang. You probably all heard of yin and yang. Yin pertains to things that are cold, quiet, dark, wintertime, yang, daytime, and summertime. So these three theories, the five elements, qi, yin, and yang. Saam Acupuncture is Korean prenatal technique. Water to make a tree grow. So kidney water is the mother of liver wood. We use wood to burn a fire. So liver wood is the mother of heart fire. We use that fire burns the wood, it becomes ashes, it becomes earth. So heart fire is the mother of spleen earth. The earth becomes minerals and crystallizes in the ground. So spleen earth is the mother of lung metal, and the metals mineralize and nourish water. So lung metal is the mother of kidney water. That's the mother-son relationship. There's also a grandmother-grandson relationship. Water puts out fire. So kidney water controls heart fire, or is the grandmother of heart fire. Let me see. So yeah, the tree mother, okay, kidney is the grandmother of heart fire. The liver is the grandmother of spleen earth. The tree, which is wood, the roots extend into the earth and the branches extend over the earth. So liver wood is the grandmother that controls spleen earth. I think I want to just read this passage to you. This is a review of the book, and then we're going to go into the history. So, let me see. From Writer's Digest Review, 25th Annual Writer's Digest Self-Published Book Awards. Nongae of Love and Courage. An exceptional book full of wisdom and courage and fascinating characters with an exceptional historical plot or record of the country of Korea in 1592 in the following years when they were invaded by Japan. The title explains it all. Love and courage. We have so much to learn from the people who lived at that time. They were courageous, filled with wisdom and character. It was an honor to read this book and learn from it. In closing, all I can add about your book is wow. So that's this book here. This is a historical, fictional narrative where I do fictionalize Saam, the doctor, and make him a character in the plot of the book. But then I do kind of plot out the events of this war, which is actually a very devastating war. So I want to show you some pictures to kind of introduce where it takes place. And this is he needed to enlist the support of Korea. And for years and years and years, he tried to enlist the support of Korea because in order to get to China, he had to enlist the support of Korea to march his troops up and then strike China. Now, part of his plan was a naval. I mean, obviously you need a naval force because it's an island. So he wanted to send his ships up here into the belly of China here to invade China. The problem was the diplomatic endeavors did not pan out because Korea was under tribute to the emperor in China, and they didn't want to take part in this invasion of China, and they resisted and resisted and resisted. So in frustration, and with probably the restlessness of his samurai factions, he then decided to invade Korea in order to strike Japan. So in 1592, Emperor Toyotomi Hideyoshi assembled a naval force, very powerful naval force, and he launched his invasion against two cities right here in southern Korea. I'm going to show you a picture here of the invasion of Busan. Okay, this one here. This is the Japanese naval force against the coastal city of Busan. This was one of the first of 2 cities to be attacked by the Japanese. Now here's the fortress, there's the wall, the administrative offices. But in this picture, these are all boats. It's a naval force, all the Japanese boats. And I think that's actually a very accurate description. They overwhelmed the Korean fortresses, and it was devastating. Look at all the Japanese forces just surrounding, just coming off all these boats. It was just a devastating invasion, and it was a rapid. I'm going to read in my foreword to my book. I say, this is a narrative of historical events surrounding the Japanese invasion of Korea 1592. It was a time of remarkable devastation for the country and people of Korea. Patriotic heroes. We're going to talk about Admiral Lee Sun-sin and Nongae, the heroine, the lady that we're going to present. Young Oak is the model of Nongae. She's a tough little girl. You don't want to mess with her. So, Saam, both are revered for Admiral Lee Sun-sin and Nongae lived during this period. Both are revered for their extraordinary acts of courage in the defense of their homeland. Saam, the cave-dwelling monk and physician, probably lived in or after this period as well. So the Japanese invasion of 1592, taking just 18 days to march over 2,000 kilometers from Busan to Seoul, and then Pyongyang a month later, is rending to consider. It was an unprecedented event on the scale of the devastation of Hitler's blitzkrieg, the attack on Pearl Harbor, or September 11th. For the people of those times, the world will never be the same. So I'm going to return you back to the map here. So in 18 days, with that invasion of the fortress, that was the first invasion that we saw, that picture of the invasion of Busan, which is somewhere down here in the south. Within 18 days, the Japanese marched 2,000 kilometers to Seoul, right here. And that's about 2,000 kilometers. I'm going to say it's about 1,000 plus something in miles. So in 18 days, and they overran fortress after fortress after fortress in just 18 days, in 1592. That's really remarkable. And then 1 month later, they reached Pyongyang. It was just a rapid advance. So why? Why would you ask? Well, Korean was just unprepared. And actually, they made many mistakes in their leadership. And they were just unprepared. And you'll see it like in the introduction that I may read, I may do a book read, but I don't know. Let me see where. So Hideyoshi. Now, why? Why did I'm going to explain why Korean was so overwhelmed. But this is one other. Town in her fortress, they had 150 of the guns in her fortress, but in no other fortresses in Korea did they have the musket. And this was the difference. This is what allowed Japanese to overrun Korea so quickly and rapidly. So I write the details in my book, but I do want to introduce you to Young Oak's hometown because it's a very beautiful hometown, and it is the setting for the battle and the events of Nongae. This is Nongae. This is the heroine, and this is the tough little lady that I don't want to mess with, and you don't want to mess with. So I'm going to give away the whole climax of my book. I'm going to spoil my book. So why is she famous? We could act it out if you want. You want to act it out? She's embarrassed. Okay. So her hometown did give her a run after 2 battles. The first battle, Jinju defeated the Japanese, and I explained to you, they had the musket. They defeated the first Japanese battle in 1592. However, when the second battle came, and I'm going to show you what the second battle must have looked like. There. So, the second battle in 1593, this is probably not Jinju, but if this was Jinju, there would be about 60,000 people in the fortress. And this would be the Japanese army about 90,000 Japanese army in the second battle of Jinju in 1593. This is the time when that lady, Nongae, would be standing up here, and it was an overwhelming battle. And Nongae was one of the few survivors of that battle. So why is she the heroine? What did she do? So the Japanese on that second battle did conquer Jinju, the fortress, and they executed, because they were the only fortress to defeat the Japanese the year before. They slaughtered the population, just devastation. The whole population was punished. But of course, they kept some slaves and maybe some women as well. So Nongae was one of the leftover women, and she, Young-Oak knows a little bit about her history. I think she might have been a Kiseng lady, or maybe not. The Kiseng were like the court entertainer ladies. They had a very good education. They were educated for the high echelon administrative posts, fortresses in town. They held traditions, arts, meditational, tai chi, tea ceremony, all the ritual procedures of a fortress and court would be done by these highly educated women. So I think she's one of these ladies. Well, she's famous because after the battle, on the ceremony of the Chuseok moon, which is a holiday, it's a feast holiday in the autumn, or the new moon of autumn, where they have a feast and from the harvest. So the Japanese had destroyed the town. The Japanese are having a party, a celebration of this holiday. And of course, they've got their generals. The war's over. They've conquered. They're celebrating. The generals are up on the fortress. They've got the Korean captive ladies there. So Nanja's up there with the generals. And she definitely pre-planned the event that she had in mind. So what did she do? Well, she made an unusual request of a local jeweler that survived the slaughter. And she asked the jeweler to manufacture 10 rings for each finger. And on each finger there was a hook. And it's kind of like the goting. It's a goting plant where it's a piece of wood with a thorn, a hooked thorn. So she had a ring made for each finger with these hooks on them. So during the celebration of these Japanese generals, she lured one of the generals to come over by the wall on the high fortress. And she embraced the general. And in that embrace, she took her rings and locked them together by the hooks. And then on her final act of courage, she took herself and the general, and she threw herself and the general over the wall onto the rocks in the river to their death. So she and this general died in her act of rebellion. And so that's why she's known. And in Jinju, now I'm going to finally get to show you some pictures of Jinju. So this is the fortress here where the events that I just explained took place. This is Jinju Fortress, Jinju Castle in Korea. Now on the map, let me go. Young-Oak, can you point out where is Jinju located? Can you direct me? Jinju's probably some invasion and kept it. At a stalemate. That's why they never made it to China, actually. But as an example of how kind of incompetent the leadership was in not only being unprepared against not having enough weaponry against the Japanese, but somewhere at the end of the war, thanks for coming.
I'm sorry, I just have another appointment.
Okay,
so
well, thank
I wanted
you.
to do both.
Yeah, sure, thank you. So, the king Sonju, well, Amoy Simpson, one of his famous sayings as far as strategy was, never let the enemy choose the place of the fight. And he studied the charts, he knew the coast, so he would pick his battles with the Japanese. Well, the Japanese were having a terrible time with them, and they launched a plan which was initiated by one of their spies who passed reliable information to the Korean forces, where he would pass information, and the Japanese would be at that point when he said they would. So this information passed through to the king, and there was that general, the mean general, I forget his name, but the mean general was supposed to be at a certain location based on this information by the spy. And the Korean king said, Admiral Yusun, you got to meet him there, and you got to cut him off. But that went against his principle, and he was very suspicious of that. So Admiral Yusun did not fall for that trap, which it was a trap. Well, King Sonju, the Korean king, the general landed, and he was very upset. The king technique. So we're doing a kick and then another change here. So I want you all to take your right hand, your right index finger, and then just point to where your thumb is on the wrist crease. Okay? So right, and then right there on the thumb, a little bit more to the side. Like here's the thumb, like you're on the artery. Okay, go down. Points we tonify. Now there's a tonifying technique that we coordinate with the breathing, but also we do a rotation of our finger. And the tonifying technique is you do it in increments of 9. So you rotate your finger in a clockwise direction 9 times. And you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you just rotate your finger in a clockwise direction. Now we also coordinate it with the breathing. With the breathing, as you hold your breath, and we're going to do a breathing, as you hold your breath and you exercise, 6, 7, 8, 9, as you're holding your breath and you're exhaling, I want you to do that. So let's give it a try here. Let's go through the nose, hold your breath. Now as you're holding your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then as you exhale, you can exhale through the mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now stop the rotation, take a breath in through the nose, deep breath, hold your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 3, 4. You can exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, I want your mind to be on this point. You want to direct your mind to this acupuncture point. This is acupuncture point number 2 of the kidney channel technique. We want to tonify your kidneys for long life. Okay, so let's just bring all your attention there. Let's do it again. Take a breath in. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now you can remove the finger, and I just want you to sit and remember that point that you were just stimulating. And we're going to do another breath point. Hold your breath, and then exhale with your attention brought to that point. Would be 3 breaths. Take another breath in. Hold your breath. And just remember the impression of your finger on that point. And then exhale. And take another breath in. Hold your breath. Breathing out. Okay, we can do another 3 breaths. Counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then hold your breath, and then go clockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Clockwise, are you in or counterclockwise?
Yeah, and then you exhale, going clockwise, in increments of 9. Okay, now stop, and then we're going to inhale and go counterclockwise in increments of 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. As you're holding your breath, then you go clockwise. So this is the tonifying, sedating techniques that we do. And I do this with the acupuncture needles. So when I do the acupuncture, I coordinate the person's breathing with that point, and then the other point, there's another point, number 1, on the ankle. And it's a technique that brings you out of your head to a technique. I mean, it's for headache on this page, but the kidney channel is what we do like all the time for shortness of breath, for PTSD. There's PTSD applications with this technique. And number 1 is longevity. The kidneys or house our treasure, kidney essence, which determines the longevity of our life For instance, kidney essence determines the quality of a young person's physical and mental growth and development. And kidneys, I say, they produce marrow, which is, in acupuncture, they produce marrow, which is substance of both bone and brain. So as we age, we'll see age-related disorders like osteoporosis, dementia, Alzheimer's. These are indications of kidney essence decline. So this technique is to help tonify kidneys. Now you'll notice, like in the graph, I also further incorporate the meditation to the kidney points. There's influential kidney points down here in the lower belly, so that you could, if you learn the areas, you can bring your meditation to these areas as well as that point and that point. And then you start really cooking.
Is there anything that when you breathe in and then you breathe out through your mouth? Breathe
Yeah.
in through your nose and out through your mouth?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what that goes with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's very healthy. I've been thinking, especially with this virus, you know, when we breathe in through the nose, that nose is filtering a lot of particles. And we don't want to breathe in through the mouth because there's no filtering mechanism going on. And that goes into another theory that we have with lungs. It's not here, but lungs in acupuncture pertain to grief. And when we're grieving, we're sobbing. Ah, we're breathing in through the mouth because we have a lot of fluid and congestion. And the lungs are very vulnerable to grief. That can make us very ill by breathing in through the mouth in the grieving process. It can make us sick. So I like breathing.
Let's go to autograph it.
Ooh, an autograph.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love
Don't
this guy.
Oh, you know, we'll bill you on your credit card next time we see you. Well, you know, that's his name. It probably means dipping.
Okay, there you go. I'm looking at what you're thinking.